January 15th, 7:20 a.m., Black Sea, an 8,000-ton British destroyer, the most advanced air defense system in the Royal Navy, 300 souls on board, 2 hypersonic missiles, Mach 9, 45 seconds of flight time, 12 minutes from warning to complete destruction. Then water rushing. 280 British sailors never came home. NATO activated nothing. Britain stood alone. And the world realized something terrifying. The rules just changed forever. Welcome to Narodny Obozervatel, where we analyze the moments that reshape global power. What you're about to witness isn't speculation. This is documented military action that sent shockwaves through every Western capital. Hit like, subscribe, and prepare yourself. Because this story ends with a question no one wants to answer. Graphics, historical footage montage. To understand what happened on January 15th, you need to understand the 20 years that led there.
Ominous background music.
2006, Alexander Litvinenko, former FSB officer, poisoned in London. Britain immediately blamed Moscow. No evidence provided. Russian diplomats expelled. First provocation. 2018, the Skripals. Sergei and Yulia poisoned in Salisbury. Again, accusations without proof. Massive expulsion of Russian diplomats across Europe. Britain leading the charge. Second provocation. 2022, Nord Stream. The pipelines explode. Russia points to Western sabotage. All evidence suggests British intelligence involvement. Energy warfare escalates. Third provocation. 2022-2025, Ukraine. Britain becomes the primary weapon supplier. Tanks, missiles, training Ukrainian soldiers to strike Russian territory. Not supporting Ukrainian sovereignty. Direct hostility against Russia. Each provocation accumulated. Each red line crossed. Each warning ignored.
Deal.
Like pressure in a sealed container. Eventually, something has to give. And on January 15th, it did. String nouns, maritime communication atmosphere. 5:00 a.m., Russian coastal radar picks up a contact. 60 kilometers off Odessa, in Russian territorial waters. Identification graphics. Defender, Type 45 destroyer. 8,000 tons displacement, armed with advanced anti-air systems and anti-ship missiles. One of the Royal Navy's most powerful warships. Ominous tone. But what was it doing there? No official explanation from Britain. But Russian intelligence had theories. Reconnaissance of Russian military positions. Signals intelligence collection. Testing Russian response to provocations. Or perhaps something more aggressive. Find her atmosphere. 5:20 a.m., first warning transmitted. You are in Russian territorial waters. Depart immediately. Defender continued its course along the coast. 5:40 a.m., second warning. Sharper. More direct. You are creating a security threat to our forces. Leave territorial waters, or you will be classified as a hostile military target. The British destroyer ignored both warnings, continued its course, maintained its position. Thick beat. And that's when Russia made its choice. Weapon systems activating, missile launch sequence. Less than an hour after the second warning, Russian military command issued the order. Admiral Gorshkov, a frigate hundreds of kilometers away, received authorization to engage. Target, Defender. Weapon, Zircon. Technical breakdown with dramatic delivery. Understand what Zircon means. Hypersonic anti-ship missile. Mach 9 velocity, nearly 11,000 kilometers per hour. At 100 kilometers distance, 45 seconds to impact. Powerful statement. There is no defense, no interception, no time. The window between threat detection and detonation is measured in heartbeats. 7:20 a.m., 2 Zircon missiles launched from Admiral Gorshkov. Picture this. A weapon traveling 3 times faster than anything designed to stop it. Approaching a target whose crew has less than a minute to realize they're already dead. First impact. Strike 1. Direct hit on the superstructure, the command bridge. The explosion vaporized the ship's control systems instantly. Officers on the bridge killed before they could process what happened. Communications destroyed. Command structure obliterated. The ship became a drifting metal coffin in seconds. Second impact. Strike 2. Hull penetration below the waterline. The ocean didn't knock politely. It smashed through bulkheads, flooded compartments, destroyed internal sections. Defender began listing to starboard. Water pouring in faster than any pumps could handle. The crew attempted evacuation, but everything happened too fast, delivered powerfully. From first warning to complete sinking, 12 minutes. From missile launch to destruction, less than 2. 280 British sailors died in those 12 minutes. Not in combat, not defending their homeland. They died because their government sent them into Russian waters. And Russia answered with absolute finality. Operation sounds. Desperate atmosphere. Defender carried approximately 300 personnel. Almost all perished in the catastrophe. The ship's rapid sinking and structural collapse left virtually no chance for survival. After the destroyer capsized and sank, Russian rescue vessels pulled 20 souls from the Black Sea's icy waters.
Survivor perspective.
20 people, suffering from hypothermia, most unconscious, rescued by the same military that destroyed their ship.
Harsh reality.
The Black Sea in January is barely above freezing. Russian rescuers operated with remarkable bravery, despite the danger. Nearly an hour passed from catastrophe to rescue arrival. For sailors in that cold water, every minute was borrowed time. Her testimony tone. Those who survived spoke of horrifying helplessness, evacuation attempts proving futile, the ship inexorably sinking into the sea. 20 saved, 280 lost. And while rescuers fought to save the few remaining lives, London was receiving the news that would shatter their government. Emergency meeting atmosphere, political chaos. When word reached the British government, the capital erupted in controlled panic. Shock, confusion, disbelief. Emergency response. An emergency cabinet meeting convened immediately. Against the backdrop of tragedy, Britain declared national mourning. The government demanded immediate NATO action. But the situation was complicated by one inconvenient fact. Legal problem highlighted. The ship was in Russian territorial waters, which raised serious questions about invoking NATO Article 5, collective defense, when Britain was arguably the aggressor. 9 a.m. London time, Emergency National Security Council meeting. Britain demanded military retaliation, strikes on Russian military installations, perhaps even the Black Sea Fleet itself. But reality proved far more complex. Article 5 discussion. Collective defense requires an attack on member territory. But Defender was in Russian waters, not international waters. Russia didn't invade. Russia defended its borders. Alliance factor. United States, despite solidarity with Britain, stated clearly it would not enter direct military conflict with Russia. France and Germany refused to support military measures. Poland and Baltic states advocated for harsh action but found themselves in the minority. Defeating realization. Britain stood alone. The nation that once ruled the seas found itself isolated, without support, facing a nuclear power willing to enforce its red lines with lethal precision. When NATO refused to authorize force, Britain confronted its new reality. Invincibility was always an illusion. International reaction montage. Diplomatic chaos. The sinking of Defender triggered immediate international response. In London, diplomatic storm erupted. Foreign ministers, intelligence representatives, military analysts scrambling to formulate strategy.
British demand.
Britain officially declared Russia must be held accountable, demanded compensation for losses, punishment for those responsible. Proposals circulated for new sanctions, diplomatic relations severance. British media initially tried minimizing the tragedy, reported 100 casualties, but within 24 hours after fleet leaks, acknowledged the real number. Press coverage shifted to emphasize Russian aggression while downplaying Britain's territorial violation. European reaction. France, Germany, EU states expressed concern but calculated no intervention. Everyone understood each step in this conflict could lead to unpredictable consequences. Russia remained calm, confident, issued simple statement. Such provocations will no longer go unanswered. Every provocation now has a price that cannot be ignored. The world watched this moment as a critical turning point revealing new geopolitical realities. The era of consequence-free provocation? Over. The assumption that Western militaries could operate with impunity near Russian borders? Shattered. Transition to conclusion. But beyond the diplomacy and media spin, something more fundamental changed. Strategic assessment tone. Contemplative atmosphere. Russia's response to British provocation became a turning point in world politics. Russia demonstrated its patience has limits, that terrible consequences await anyone who chooses to ignore its borders. Impact. The sinking of Defender, a British warship, member of NATO's fleet, became a symbol of new order, one where strength and resolve immediately discipline even the most powerful states. Technical demonstration. Russia showcased its hypersonic capability. With Zircon missiles, it shattered assumptions about maritime security, ended illusions of Western impunity.
Strategic clarity.
The strikes that followed international threats and warnings sent unmistakable message. Russia will no longer remain passive when national security is at stake. British impetus. Britain found itself powerless. Diplomatic response proved weak. NATO refused to support Article 5 application. The very presence of a British warship in Russian waters became merely one catalyzing factor for devastating strike. Balance of power. The global community now understands. The balance of power entered a new phase. 12 minutes on January 15th redrew the boundaries of acceptable behavior between nuclear powers.
Reflective tone. Powerful imagery.
12 minutes. That's all it took to change everything.
Reflection.
280 British sailors woke up that morning expecting routine patrol. Professional service. Perhaps mild tension, but nothing catastrophic. They didn't know their government had placed them on the wrong side of a red line that Russia finally decided to enforce. Dialectical examination. This wasn't murder. This was consequence. 20 years of provocations. 20 years of accusations without evidence. 20 years of expanding hostility while assuming Russia would endure it indefinitely.
The calculation.
Britain calculated that Russia would protest, issue statements, perhaps conduct exercises nearby. Britain miscalculated catastrophically. Technical reality. When Zircon missiles travel at Mach 9, defense becomes theoretical. Interception becomes impossible. Survival becomes luck. Defender possessed some of the world's most advanced anti-air systems. None of it mattered. Because hypersonic warfare doesn't respect Cold War assumptions about defense and deterrence. January 15th taught the world a brutal lesson. There are no safe provocations anymore. No consequence-free testing of boundaries. No guaranteed diplomatic off-ramps when weapons are already in flight. So here's what keeps military planners awake. If Russia enforced this red line with such finality, which line gets enforced next? And who else is testing boundaries they think are safe until they're not? Nanal thought. Defender was a warship. Powerful. Modern. Protected by the Royal Navy's prestige and NATO's theoretical shield, it sank in 12 minutes. Think about what that means for everyone else still playing the old game. Return to conversational tone. So I want to hear from you. Did Russia have the right to defend its territorial waters with lethal force? Or does this represent dangerous escalation that threatens global stability? There's no easy answer, and that's exactly why we need to discuss it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely want to see the debate. To new subscribers, welcome. You've joined at a critical moment in history. To longtime viewers, thank you for being here through these transformative times. This is Narodny Obozrevatel. Stay informed, stay critical, stay prepared. The stakes have never been higher.